CEOs aren't used to commenting on every single policy that comes out there. But I do agree with you on this, and this is a major point to me. We, business, made a mistake by not getting more involved earlier. I do not believe that the problems of society will be fixed by politicians alone. That's not an insult to politicians. Most of the really good ones, they want help to figure things out. And we, business, kind of step back. That's what happened in Europe, where, the political leadership class became a permanent political leadership class. And I think it ended up being a mistake. So I do agree with that point that we should step forward and do things that are good for the country. Like John F. Kennedy said, don't ask what the country could do for you, ask what you could do for the country. And we've got to have a little bit more of that spirit.
That's J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon weighing in on the responsibility business leaders hold in today's society. Our next guests argue employers do play a big role in helping to fill an urgent leadership void in America. Joining us now, co-founders of Axios, Mike Allen and Jim Vandehei. Guys, welcome back. I have to tell you, your original piece on this, talking about the theory of the American moment, the rattled generation, was being rocketed all over the place yesterday. I got it from a few different people, sent it to people as well. So talk a little bit, Jim, first here about how you see CEOs kind of filling this moment, because I think most people think, I don't know, are they part of the problem? They're the rich guys and the rich women, and people are struggling to pay for their gas. So how do CEOs help to lead us out of the place we're in right now?
Yeah, Willie, you have a lot of viewers who like to email. Well, I got a ton of emails yesterday from that segment.
Yeah.
But the segment was about this idea that people are just rattled. They're looking for leadership. They're hungry for leadership. You see it, I'm sure, with your younger employees. We see it when we're speaking at college campuses. And when you look at the polls, nobody trusts anybody. It might be the biggest problem facing America right now. Nobody trusts anybody in positions of power except for their employer. Almost 80% of people, they have faith in their leaders, in their CEO. And most CEOs just want to run their business, and usually that's fine. But I think you have a leadership void out there that if it's not filled by someone, and I think CEOs are the ones to fill it right now as employers, we're going to be in trouble. People need to see moral leadership modeled. They need to get guidance through this AI transformation. They need to understand the principles that have made great people great throughout time, which is just working hard, putting a cause above yourself, like doing the right thing even when people aren't looking. And if you're not going to church, if you're not getting that at home, you're sure as hell not getting it on social media. And a lot of people feel like they're not getting it anywhere.
And Willie, what's super important here for your viewers is CEO here is a proxy for any leader. You can be a Little League coach. You can be leading two people, or like Jamie Dimon we saw leading 300,000 people. But if you have people in your life, and if you're watching Morning Joe, you are a leader. You're someone that people in your circle, even your friend group, turn to. You have an obligation. People are hungry to lead. And here's something that is true across American life, and that is take the local, close to home. We don't like Congress, but we often like our member. We don't like education, but we like our school. Poll after poll shows that people will listen to their employers. So what can you do? And Jim, we've got a few here.
No, I think there's a bunch of things that... No, go, please, Jonathan.
No, I was just going to say on this, what would you say to the pushback that would be that CEOs, a lot of Americans watching this might feel like your CEOs are out of touch. They don't care about some of the smaller employees. We see the rising compensation packages as a symbol of the remarkable income stratification we've seen. That's a lot of Americans are really angry at that. The haves, the have-nots. That's only accelerated. So what's the risk then of this class, the CEO class, being looked to lead when already so many people are suspicious of them?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no doubt there's a wealth gap, and it's a huge problem. And I think every company, you have a moral responsibility to make sure you take care of your people and that you compensate people fairly. If you do that, people perform a hell of a lot better. And most of the CEOs you see on TV, they're not representative of the literally tens or hundreds of thousands of CEOs out there. Most companies are small businesses. And like Mike said, a teacher is a leader. It's what do people in a position of power over anyone? It could be two people. It could be a parent. It could be anyone. But if you think about the things that trouble you right now about what's happening in society, It's this lack of values, this lack of trying to figure out, hey, how do we work together to solve a problem? The lack of putting competence over loudmouths. If you think about the fundamental problem with politics right now, it's like all the people we hear about, it's just this nasty language, it's all this fighting. That's not most people. Most people are like, oh my God, I'm living my life, I'm trying to solve a problem. And by the way, I think most people running businesses do that. To be honest, I think they're scared. They're so scared to speak out now because they worry about revolts internally or externally. I say, get over it. You're blessed to be in a position of power. You have an obligation, and you might as well figure out ways to lead people, especially in the next couple of years. People are scared as hell of artificial intelligence, and it could go good or it could go bad. And if you want to know whether it's going to go in a good direction or a bad direction, the thing that will determine that is good leadership, good governmental leadership, good business leadership, good academic leadership. If you don't have those ingredients, this technology, like the last technology, and like anything, it will go off the rails.
So, Mike, based upon what Jim was just talking about, and based upon the concept of the rattle generation, you could work for the strongest company in the United States of America and feel very comfortable at work, very comfortable with your CEO. What do you do and what can be done about dealing with the thing called anxiety among employers? Anxiety about today, anxiety about AI, anxiety about their children's schools. I mean, that's a huge, huge issue, I would think, that's out there.
For sure, Mike, and you have young people in your life. And a point that we made in our rattled generation column was it's not their fault. It's very understandable given what the younger generation has lived through. So what can you do? One, the first thing that we suggest here is leveling with the people that you lead. Truth builds trust. And we know that people are hungry to lead. We're reminding you here that if you have a couple people in your life, you have an obligation to lead, and that can be that leveling with them makes a big difference, including on AI. In every workplace in America, this is the conversation. And if we as leaders understand it, are skilled in it, can show people that it's opportunity, can show people how to enhance their superpower, like that's going to make a big difference. One more quickly is rewarding competence, showing people that you're going to be demanding and tough, but you're going to be fair. And Jim talked earlier, modeling moral leadership. This isn't being preachy. This is showing grace. This is showing humility. This is showing courage, strength.
The new piece in this series has got a lot of people talking, available online now.